You've just lost someone, and now you're expected to figure out the legal stuff like it's no big deal. You're trying to grieve, but you're also drowning in insurance paperwork, tight deadlines, and confusing legal terms that you've never heard of before. If you miss one of those steps, the entire wrongful death claim could collapse, and your family might never see justice. Hi, I'm Bobby Zirkin, and I've practiced personal injury law here in Maryland for over 25 years, and I'm walking you through the 4 essential steps that you must take to actually win your wrongful death claim so that you can protect your case, hold the right people accountable, and finally get the closure that your family deserves. Number 1, act immediately to protect crucial evidence. In Maryland, the very first step to winning your wrongful death claim is to act fast to protect and gather every piece of evidence you possibly can. I can't stress this enough. Evidence disappears, witness memories fade, surveillance footage gets erased, accident scenes change, and sometimes records even go missing. The clock is not your friend. You don't need to become a private investigator, but there are some actions that you should take right away. For example, if your loved one died in a car accident on the Beltway, call the police and get a copy of the report. Do not wait. If there are witnesses, get their names and numbers immediately if you can. Even if you only overheard someone at the scene say, "That guy ran the red light," write it down. Believe it or not, insurance companies and defense lawyers are counting on you to let these details and others slip through the cracks. Don't give them that chance. If there was a workplace accident, notify the employer in writing right away and ask for all incident reports. If medical malpractice is involved, request copies of medical records or keep a detailed journal of events and what doctors said and what procedures happened and what changes you noticed. It's also helpful to take photos of everything you can: vehicles, dangerous conditions, hospital injuries, even text messages or emails related to the incident. If your loved one had a smartphone, back up their voicemails, texts, or photos that could be relevant. One real-life example. A Maryland family lost their wrongful death case after a workplace accident because the key witness had moved out of state and the security footage was deleted after 30 days. If they'd acted within the first week, that evidence would have made all the difference. If you feel overwhelmed, that's normal. An attorney can jump in and send legal requests, known as preservation letters, to make sure companies or individuals do not destroy evidence. But you need to reach out early, because if certain evidence is lost, it may be gone for good. Bottom line, first of all, get a lawyer immediately, because the sooner we start gathering and protecting evidence, the stronger your case will be. Imagine your claim is a house. You need a solid foundation. In wrongful death law, that foundation is built with facts, proof, evidence, and names. Don't let it slip away. Number 2, identify who can legally file this claim. Not just anyone can file a wrongful death claim in Maryland. The law is strict about who qualifies, and it is a crucial step that you cannot afford to get wrong. Here's how it works. Maryland divides potential claimants into 2 main groups. Primary beneficiaries are the closest family members, spouse, parents, children of the person who passed. These are usually the first in line, and if you fall into this group, you have the strongest right to bring a claim. If there are no surviving primary beneficiaries, then secondary beneficiaries may be able to step up. This can include siblings, cousins, friends, but only if they were financially dependent on the person who died. It's strict, and stricter than you might think, and the burden is on you to prove that dependence. Let me give you an example. A client came to me after her brother had died in a construction accident in Baltimore. She was devastated, but unfortunately, as his sibling, she could only sue for wrongful death if there wasn't a living spouse, child, or parent, and even then, only if she could show she relied on him financially. In her case, she couldn't prove dependency, so she wasn't really eligible. These rules aren't meant to be cruel. They're to keep the process fair, but they do trip some people up. If you're not sure if you qualify, don't guess. The courts might throw out your case if you're not legally allowed to file. In fact, they will. And it'll waste your time and possibly close the door forever. If you're a parent filing for an adult child, or if there's a blended family, or if you're not married to your partner but live together for years, you need to talk to a lawyer who knows how to navigate these very complicated Maryland rules. Sometimes more than one person can file, and cases can even combine multiple claims into one lawsuit. It can be complicated. The takeaway here, make sure you're the right person to file. Don't assume, verify it with a lawyer. If you're eligible, step up quickly to protect your right before someone else does, or before deadlines run out. Number 3, prove the other party's fault clearly and convincingly. This is the heart of any wrongful death claim, proving that someone else's action or actions directly caused your loved one's death. In Maryland, this usually means showing negligence, that is, the other person failed to act as a reasonable person should have, and that failure led to the loss. Maryland law puts the burden on you, the person bringing the claim. That means it's not enough to feel something went wrong. You have to build a story with solid, convincing facts. For example, if your loved one died in a truck accident on I-95, you will need to show that the other driver broke the law or acted carelessly, and that this carelessness or negligence caused the crash. Maybe the trucker was speeding, texting, or fell asleep at the wheel. You'll need crash reports, witness statements, sometimes expert analysis, and maybe even black box data, which you need to make sure is preserved. Maryland is also what's called a contributory negligence state. This is a big deal, and it's not our friend. If your loved one is found even 1% at fault for what happened, they could lose everything, all compensation. This law is very strict, and insurance companies use it constantly to try to get out of paying anything. I once represented a family whose father was killed crossing a busy street in Annapolis. The driver clearly ran a stop sign, but the insurance company fought back, arguing that the man was wearing dark clothes at night and was partially at fault. We gathered evidence from traffic cameras and found witnesses who saw the driver texting. Because we acted quickly and proved the driver's fault clearly, the family we were representing won the case. It's not just the driver's fault. It could be a business that failed to fix a dangerous condition for a slip and fall, for example. A doctor who made a mistake in a medical malpractice case, or a company that sold a defective product in a product's liability case. To do this step well, you often need expert witnesses, engineers, doctors, accident reconstructionists, someone who can explain to a jury exactly what went wrong. That's why experienced wrongful death attorneys work with a network of professionals. We know how to tell the story so that it is crystal clear to a jury. This tragedy was preventable, and it was the defendant's fault. The main point, don't rely on emotion or assumptions. You need hard proof and a compelling story that leaves no doubt about what really happened. Contact an attorney. Number 4, calculate and document all of your damages. The final step, and one people often overlook, is to carefully figure out and document every loss that you and your family have suffered. In Maryland, a successful wrongful death claim can include both economic and non-economic damages. Economic damages are the straightforward financial losses, including funeral expenses, lost income your loved one would have provided, medical bills. For example, if your spouse was the main breadwinner and you relied on their paycheck, you can claim the loss of that future income. You'll need tax returns and pay stubs, sometimes expert reports on what their future earnings would have been. Non-economic damages are the harder ones to measure. That's the pain, the suffering, emotional distress, loss of companionship. Maryland law has a cap or limit on these damages depending on the number of beneficiaries. With, for example, 2 beneficiaries, a wrongful death case is worth about $2.25 million as we sit here today. But it changes every year, and it changes based on the number of claimants. Here's where documentation is key. Keep a journal of how your life has changed since your loved one's death. Collect cards and letters from friends describing the impact. Record missed family milestones. Describe the emotional fallout. These might seem personal. Keep them. They may help paint a real picture of the loss. I once worked with a family who lost their mom in a hospital mistake in Montgomery County. By documenting everything from canceled family vacations to their struggles paying bills, they were able to present a complete picture to the jury. That made a real difference in their recovery. Don't forget, Maryland courts allow multiple family members to claim non-economic damages, but there's still a total cap. If your family is large, the court may end up dividing the total amount among everyone. That's complicated, and attorneys can help you maximize what you recover and avoid mistakes that could reduce your compensation. Remember, you have 3 years from the date of death to file your claim in Maryland. Miss that deadline, and you will lose the right to file a lawsuit, no matter how strong your case. So let's recap. These are the 4 steps you must take to win your wrongful death claim in Maryland or case. Move quickly to protect evidence. Make sure that you are the right person to file. Prove fault clearly and convincingly. And document every type of loss that has been suffered. And never miss a deadline. This process is never easy, But getting these steps right gives your family the best chance for justice and closure. If you found this helpful, you won't want to miss our next video. Beyond the owner, who else can be liable for a dog bite in Maryland? You'll learn how liability works in some surprising ways and how to protect your family from legal traps most people never even think about. Click over now. It is a must-watch if you want to safeguard your rights and avoid costly mistakes if you or your loved one is ever bitten by a dog. See you right here.